Thank you. Now, let me turn to a different topic, Iran. Your negotiator on the Iran nuclear deal said that in February, if there was no deal by the end of February, the benefits we would receive would be dramatically diminished. It is now the end nearly of April, 2 months later. So can you give us where we're at on that? And importantly, can I get a commitment from you on holding an open Iran hearing before the Memorial Day recess?
On the latter question, in short, yes. We will make sure that we get that done. Second, in terms of where we are, without belaboring it, we inherited a very challenging situation. An Iranian nuclear program that was galloping forward, Iranian provocations and malicious activities that had ramped up throughout the region, the decision to pull out of the agreement, and the effort to exert maximum pressure on Iran, whatever the intent, did not produce results. On the contrary, it produced a more dangerous nuclear program, a breakout time that went from a year to a matter of weeks, and an Iran that was acting with even more destabilizing effect throughout the region, including endangering and attacking our own forces in ways that it hadn't before. So that's what we have to deal with. We continue to believe that getting back into compliance with the agreement would be the best way to address the nuclear challenge posed by Iran.
I happen to believe that Iran will be hell-bent on having a nuclear weapon at some point, that they'll negotiate and delay as long as they can, but that the negotiations with us, but that they ultimately intend to have a nuclear capacity. I do hope that that's not going to be the case, but I believe that in that circumstance, that giving in to them is not the right course, but instead that there needs to be a very heavy price paid for them pursuing that path.
During the period of time when the original agreement was being negotiated, go back to 2012, through its entry into force and the time when the Trump administration pulled out, 2018. 2012 to 2018, there were virtually no attacks on American presence in the Middle East. When we pulled out of the agreement, when we imposed the Foreign Terrorist Organization designation on the IRGC, and when Soleimani was killed, and no one is shedding any tears for his demise, but I'm just stating the facts, when those things happened, the attacks on our forces, on our personnel, on our people went up dramatically. In fact, from 2019 to 2020, they went up 400%. So we've seen that effect.
Right now, the IRGC is actively trying to murder additional Americans, including former Trump administration officials. We know from public reports that the State Department spends $2 million every month protecting former officials, including former Secretary of State Pompeo. And the Secret Service is providing similar protection to protect former National Security Advisor Bolton. Because of such activities, the Trump administration rightly designated the IRGC as a foreign terrorist organization, an FTO. As you know, the FTO designation is the most powerful we have. It includes a criminal prohibition on knowingly supporting the IRGC up to life in prison. It imposes vast immigration restrictions. It allows victims, including the Gold Star families of those killed in Iran, to sue for civil damages from such support. And just as importantly, it is a signal to our allies in the Middle East and across the world that we will use our most powerful tools to counter the threats that Iran poses to them, including existential threats. The Iranian regime knows all of this, of course, which is why they have refused to re-enter a nuclear deal unless the Biden administration agrees to lift the FTO designation. According to public reports, the negotiations have stalled over this issue. To advance the talks, American negotiators and the Biden administration officials have tried to find ways to rationalize meeting Iran's demands. You yourself have downplayed concerns over such a move by saying the IRGC would remain designated under other weaker sanctions. Back in Vienna, American negotiators have also reportedly asked Iranians to make commitments to stop conducting terrorism in exchange for removing the FTO, and specifically to stop trying to murder former American officials. According to these reports, the Iranians told you no.
آنچه در مورد ما میگویند